Yes, anyone? Anything from what is the name of chapter 3? Let's start there.
Karma Yoga.
Karma Yoga. Okay, what is Krishna talking about there?
Slowly and steadily, by engaging oneself in Krishna consciousness, we can have control over senses, mind, and intelligence.
Okay. What did Krishna describe towards the end of the 3rd chapter? Who is our enemy? Sorry?
The last chapter you spoke was lust, right? Which is the destroyer of knowledge. The last one.
The last section of the 3rd chapter, Krishna talks about lust is our number one enemy and it's destroyer of spiritual knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes. And what is the seating place for this lust? Where is the enemy strategically situated?
One must be trained in Krishna consciousness by higher intelligence.
Yes, that was almost like the end conclusion. I'm asking, where is this enemy lust situated?
It's all in our mind, right?
Mind?
Just in the senses.
In material things.
Material things, and I think Sujata Mataji, you were saying mind and what else?
I think you spoke about last is you spoke about the hierarchy of the senses, right? Where I think given that as human beings we have intelligence, we should direct our mind to curb our senses, rather than lust and be more vigilant. Because we should use our intelligence to control our senses. And then I think you spoke the hierarchy of the senses, the mind and the intelligence, and how the soul finally is the soul which makes the direct connection to Lord Krishna. So it's all about with intelligence controlling our senses.
Yeah. So Krishna, he describes how this enemy of lust is actually situated in our intelligence, in our mind, and in our senses.
And misuse of our independence.
Yes. So, so if the intelligence is polluted, you won't be able to even think, properly. You will plan or scheme or use your intelligence to satisfy your lust rather than, curbing this enemy called lust. So Krishna is saying that, senses are the easiest in this, all three of them, because you may externally at least control your senses and engage them positively. At the same time, to do that, we need some bit of intelligence. So Krishna is saying, you build that faculty of intelligence by cultivating spiritual knowledge, right? So food for intelligence is knowledge, and food for our intelligence, for curbing this enemy called lust, is spiritual knowledge. So Krishna is saying, cultivate spiritual knowledge. Through cultivation of spiritual knowledge, your senses, your intelligence, and ultimately the mind gets purified. And that's the connection between chapter 3 and 4. So chapter 3 discusses how lust covers knowledge and how ignorance binds us with our own attachments. Krishna recommended dutiful detached work, Nishkam Karma Yoga, as means to attain transcendental knowledge. In the first two chapters in the first two verses of chapter 4, Krishna will describe how such knowledge is received. So basically, through Nishkam Karma Yoga, we can cultivate, this transcendental knowledge. Nishkam Karma Yoga is doing activities without any motive for enjoying the fruits, but actually offering the fruits to the Lord, or in one sense also, in some cases, doing the activity itself for the pleasure of the Lord, where Krishna is in the center. So through that, doing that practically, you cultivate transcendental knowledge. How do you cultivate transcendental knowledge? By doing that? Anyone? You do something and then there is knowledge suddenly. How is that? Anyone?
Repeat the question again, Prabhuji.
So by doing Nishkam Karma Yoga, right? How can we cultivate knowledge, transcendental knowledge?
Because we are offering everything that we are doing to the Lord. So, and also when we are doing it without expecting, anything in return. So, with the experience, you get that realization that whatever is happening, right?
Okay, nice.
I think one should keep performing his own prescribed duties instead of engaging into others' duty. Like Kshatriya should keep performing his own duty instead of becoming a Brahmana. And by doing his own activities and karmas, he is placed into a transcendental place. Like,
is that the case? How many agree with Pallavi Mataji? Please raise your hands digitally or come on camera and raise your hands. Okay, Shelza. Anything else? Anyone else? Like others don't agree. What is it?
Contemplating, Prabhuji, still.
So it's like if we are doing our dharma and we are doing that dharma without any expectation of result, when we are continuously doing that with, offering the result and, everything towards Lord Krishna, eventually because of that, doing it all over again and again, we experience, and then, the shift happens automatically.
Okay, what Pallavi Mataji said that you simply perform your prescribed duties. If you are a Kshatriya, you keep fighting, or whatever the duties are of a Kshatriya, or if you are a Brahmana, or if you are a Vaishya or a Shudra, you just perform your duties and automatically one fine day you will have transcendental knowledge.
No, that cannot. I
think while doing all your prescribed duties, you're keeping Lord Krishna in the center, right? So you are not the doer.
Yeah, if that is the situation, that's a different thing. So I think Prabhupada mentions two things in the purport. I forgot the shloka in which it was mentioned. So he was mentioning there are prescribed duties, material prescribed duties and spiritual prescribed duties. Material prescribed duties are as per your varna and ashram, or as per your situation. If you are a brahmachari or a grihastha or a vanprastha, basis your situation, you perform your prescribed duties. Some are nitya karmas, like getting up in the morning, taking a bath, etc. All of these. While there are spiritual prescribed duties, or swadharma, right, which is instructions, following the instructions of the spiritual master. So if you follow the instructions of spiritual master along with doing your prescribed duties, that is when you really gain transcendental knowledge, right? Because the spiritual master gives you instructions in a way that you are spiritually elevated. So again, the question comes back: how, like I think I got some hints of the answers. How by performing nishkam karma yoga, right, dedicating everything to the Lord, or how is one developing transcendental knowledge? How does it actually happen?
are you getting purified because you are not expecting anything and you are getting purified, and then you start to detach from things because there is no attachment to any result.
Yes, right. So there's a very famous shloka: Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoy Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Karaha Uday. Right? That the love for Krishna is right. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunoy. You cannot gain it externally, right? Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta. It's already there. It's there in the heart. The soul by nature or by its very constitution, is Satchit Anand, and it's part and parcel of Krishna. And originally, it's completely Krishna conscious. Right? Now, just because of the material contamination, we are covered, by layers and layers of dust. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mat, Matsarya. We are completely covered, right? Since time immemorial, right? So many lifetimes, we've acquired so many impressions in our lives. So that love for God is covered, or our true nature is actually covered, right? So Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Karayo Udaya, right? Just by hearing or by serving, when you're serving, say for example, if you're washing the vessels for the Lord, so that cleaning process is actually cleaning of the heart. Or if you're cleaning the temple, that's also cleaning the heart. When you're chanting, you're hearing the names of the Lord, that's cleaning of the heart. So it's just like, somebody, is suffering from amnesia. He's forgotten his relatives. But slowly and steadily you remind him, right? Okay, oh, you were here, you did this. And you take him to that place, right? So that, he experiences, maybe he remembers something like that. So one fine day he suddenly remembers, yes, yeah, I was here, I was doing this. And then whatever the natural behavior in terms of the relationship with, all the family members and others will automatically be there. So we, by nature, by our constitution, we are servants of Krishna. It's just a matter of cleaning the dust right now and realizing that we are servants of the Lord. So by Nishkam Karma Yoga, by offering the results to Krishna, slowly and steadily, it's a process where, the heart is getting cleansed. And I think one more point which was mentioned, that this knowledge, this transcendental knowledge is Jnanam Vijnanam Sahitam. Krishna says in 9th chapter. It's not just theoretical knowledge, it's practical knowledge. So when you hear the theoretical knowledge, you understand that you're a servant of Krishna. And when you practically serve, you realize that, that yes, I am truly a servant of Krishna. So we get that realization or reciprocation or feeling of love from Krishna when we are engaged in service, right? Because that is a time where Krishna immediately reciprocates. Sometimes immediately, sometimes, he holds back the reciprocation just to increase the intensity of the devotee, that how much he wants me, he wants to see that. So just to increase the intensity of emotions there, he sometimes holds back and then gives the result. So yeah. So that's how, there is a loving exchange and reciprocation, right? So it is realized knowledge, and it's realized through service, right? Sevonmukhehi jivadav swayam eva spirityada. What is that shloka, Prabhuji? I forgot. What is the beginning of that shloka?
अतः श्री कृष्ण नामादि
Śrī Kṛṣṇa namadi na bhraved grayam indriyai. Sevonmukhehi jivadav swayam eva spirityada. Right? That Krishna, you cannot understand him, or you cannot grasp him, right? By your blunt senses. Sevon mukhehi jivadav. You can actually connect with him through service. And what kind of service? Sevon mukhehi jivadav. Beginning with the tongue. Swayam eva spurtija. And automatically there'll be spurti or inspiration in the heart to serve Krishna in multiple ways, and he'll reciprocate. So it begins with chanting, hearing, right? And then once you chant and hear very, very nicely, right? The automatic result. So once Srila Prabhupada, he was traveling in India with a group of devotees, and there was this American who had joined the party. I think it was, who's the person whose who's made the movie Prabhupada? I forgot his name. Sorry?
Yaduvar Prabhu.
Yadubara Prabhu. I think it was Yadubara Prabhu or someone else. So, when he had actually joined, the devotees to make a film on them. And the devotee said, you have to chant and you have to serve if you want to travel with us, right? So you live with us, live in the temple, different temples when you're traveling around India, but then follow the rules of the temple if you want to live with us. So he started doing that, and he wanted to kind of do his filming, etc. So he never wanted to do service. It's like, Prabhupada, I can, he never wanted to do chanting. He was happily doing services, but he thought, what is this chanting? And so he went to one in one class, he asked Srila Prabhupada, Okay, Prabhupada, it's all about serving Krishna. So can I just serve Krishna? I like serving. I don't like chanting. And when I was hearing this class, I almost second the thought. So, but yeah, Prabhupada said, why don't you want to chant? So he said, there's no time. I'm doing so many services. Devotees are engaging me, so there's no time to chant. So Prabhupada told him, all right, don't serve, just chant. So when Prabhupada said this, all the devotees were surprised, right? We do so much services. Prabhupada, doesn't allow us to sit. We are out on the streets doing 12 hours of Sankirtan. Sankirtan those days used to be 12 hours in the streets. Devotees would go out. They would, with Midang Kartal, they would go out on the street and chant Hare Krishna, distribute books, distribute prasadam. So that was Harinam Sankirtan 12 hours a day. Right, literally everyone in the temple were pushed out. And go, don't be in the temple. Go out and do Harinam Kirtan. So devotee was surprised, and some of them went up to Prabhupada after the class, like, Prabhupada, what is this? No service for him. So Prabhupada said, if he chants Hare Krishna nicely, right? What do we mean when we chant Hare Krishna? Chanting is we are praying to Srimati Radharani that, oh energy, oh Hara, oh energy of the Lord, please engage me in service of Krishna. So when he is begging for service, do you think Radharani will allow him to sit without service? Like that. So if you're chanting nicely, that's the test for us also. When you're chanting, if you're chanting nicely, there are two things. One, you will feel to chant more and more. That's one result. The second is automatically your head will be filled with so many thoughts on how to serve Krishna, or what can I do for him, right? In fact, one of the Janmashtami festivals in Canada, Prabhupada was sitting with a group of devotees the entire day. They were, doing kirtan. Prabhupada was reading from Krishna book, one chapter after the other chapter. So Prabhupada went to the first chapter, went to the second chapter, the third chapter, the fourth chapter, and the devotees were getting anxious now because it was fasting throughout the entire day, 24 hours, and they were exhausted. So many services during the day. They had decorated the temple, cleaned everything, invited guests, etc. And this is almost night time right now. 10:30, 11, and Prabhupada is reading chapter after chapter after chapter and not stopping. So he finished like some 10, 12 chapters, 13 chapters, like that. And then finally he stopped and said, okay, now, and they were celebrating Janmashtami, so they had decided to be up all night. So Prabhupada asked one by one, so what would you like to do for Krishna? So devotees went like, oh, I love rolling chapatis for Krishna. I would want to roll chapatis for Krishna all my life, like that. So like that, one after the other, devotees were expressing what they would want to do for Krishna. Then one devotee asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, please tell me, what can I do for Krishna? So Prabhupada said, fine, you can be told what you can do for Krishna, but it should come from you also. What do you want to do for Krishna? Because that is, you're expressing that I proactively want to do something for the Lord. Yeah, so just by serving, right, we are cleaning the heart. At the same time, it's a very, very practical movement. It's not, only when you, read hundreds of books, then you'll realize transcendental knowledge. In fact, sometimes if you go through all the books also, people, like, there are many academics who, who would go through Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, try to, intellectually study them, but they are not able to grasp the essence of the book. The reason is because they don't have devotion in the heart. So therefore, it is recommended for us to hear from devotees, in association of devotees, and at the same time do some practical service to digest that knowledge. Otherwise, it will be all theory, just suna idhar se nikal diya, right? So you have to do some practical service also to digest that knowledge. So yeah, I think that's how, when you serve, or you actually at least offer the results of your work to the Lord, you're practically serving the Lord, at least on a Nishkam Karma Yoga level, and slowly and steadily the heart gets cleansed, And the real knowledge, we are made of Sat Chit. Chit is full of knowledge, right? So our very nature is knowledge, right? Knowledge that we are the servants of the Lord, and how do we serve in that relationship? So once you uncover that slowly and steadily, you will automatically want to serve the Lord in so many ways. So coming to today's discussion, Prabhu, you want to add something?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, coming to the first sloka here. Śrī Bhagavān Uvacha.
Śrī Bhagavān Uvacha.
Imam Vivasvate Yogam.
Ivam vivasta
Yogam.
Proktāvānaham avyayam.
Aham avayam.
Vivasvān manave praha.
Vivasvān manave praha.
Manu Ikṣvākave bravit.
Manu
Right. So this is the Lord is starting to speak. So I think in the end of the previous chapter, right, Arjuna is asking, right, I think what was the question? Or descendant of Krishna, by what one is impaired to sinful acts. So Krishna explained, how one has to curb the enemy called lust, right? And then Krishna is actually continuing here. So he's saying, can someone read the translation?
Yes. The personality of Godhead, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god, Vivasvān, and Vivasvān instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikṣvāku.
Right. So Krishna is describing in the first and second verse, he'll describe how this knowledge is received. So we understood transcendental knowledge is required for us to curb this enemy called lust, right? And so how we acquire this knowledge? So Krishna is answering this, that I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to sun god first, sun god Vivasvān. And Vivasvān instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu in turn instructed it to Ikṣvāku. I believe I was hearing the other day, I think you all were reading different Manus from Bhagavatam. So anyone remembers who's the Manu, current present Manu, or how many Manus are there? Anyone from the Bhagavatam class? In one day of Brahma, how many Manus are there? Or do you know any of the names of the Manus?
One day of Brahma, 14 Manus are there.
Perfect, yes. And
then 540 for the year.
540. Sorry.
Yes.
And then some 4 lakh something, 4,30,000. Don't remember the name though.
Okay. So one Manu basically lives for approximately 72 Chaturyuga cycles, right? And the present Manu is Vaivasvata Manu, right? He's the seventh Manu out of the 14. So Brahmaji is almost crossed 50 years of age. Our Brahma has already crossed 50 years of age. And 51 years, I think. And in this day of Brahma, in the seventh in the time of the seventh Manu, Vaivasvata Manu, Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears 500 years back. Śrīla Prabhupada appeared about 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago. Yeah. All right. So Krishna is saying that I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to sun god Vivasvān, and Vivasvān instructed it to Manu. the father of mankind. So there is, a small destruction with every manvantar. Manvantar means, from one Manu's time to the other Manu's time, right? So every single day of Brahma, the creation, happens again. And with the small destruction also, there are different avatars like, I think, Matsya avatar, who actually saved, which Manu was that? Prabhuji, you remember? Before Vivasvān Manu, there was one more Manu. So he saved him with all the Sapta Rishis, all the scriptures, and everything. So he came as Matsya and saved him like that. So, Krishna is saying how he instructed this science to Vivasvān. Then Vivasvān, he instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind at that point in time. And Manu in turn instructed this to his son Ikṣvāku, right? So Prabhupada's writing here, and we find the history of Bhagavad Gita traced from the remote time when it was delivered to the royal order of all planets. Beginning from the sun planet, the king of all planets are especially meant for protection of the inhabitants. Therefore, the royal order should understand the science of Bhagavad Gita in order to be able to rule the citizens and protect them from material bondage to lust. It's very, very important that the leaders of the society are well versed in the science of Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, it is the blind leading the blind. Right? Prabhupada used to give this example: the blind leading the blind. They themselves are blind; they don't know where to go. Right? They don't have any spiritual vision. How will they lead others? Right? It'll be leading to all kinds of ugra karma itself. Right? Material world. Once if you have a problem and if you try to solve that problem, you end up creating a bigger problem. Right? That's the nature of the material world. You try to solve one problem, you end up creating a bigger problem, right? Earlier in Mumbai, there used to be Victorias. Victorias means the horse carriages, right? So horse-driven carts, and people used to travel from one place to the other in those horse carriages. Then they thought, "Kare, there is, the horses are pooping everywhere," right? And the roads are getting dirty. So then they introduced the motor vehicle. Now they could have easily managed clearing off by paying someone, and roz thoda jhadu laga de, right? They could have cleared the streets like that, and there would have been only limited number of animals. But now there are motor cars and there is air pollution, more subtle, bigger problem, right? And you won't even realize when you kind of get asthma or so many other respiratory diseases, right? So to solve one problem, we created a bigger problem. So so leaders are blind. They don't have a spiritual vision. Because of lack of spiritual vision, even materially they are creating blunders, right? So that's the blind leading the blind. And therefore, in the Vedic tradition, it was imperative for the royal order to actually go to Gurukula, study under an acharya, understand how simple living and high thinking principles, right? They would live very, very humbly like any other student in the Gurukul, and they were imparted with spiritual knowledge. Right? Spiritual science was given to them. Apart from material science, spiritual science was also given to them, right? And then they were able to rule, right? The morality which is missing in today's education would come from all these scriptures and all the stories and lessons from the Vedic times, like that. So human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge. When these rulers would rule, they would also rule in a way that yes, people are suffering not just from hunger, from want of things, from calamities, but they are suffering more because of lust, greed, anger, envy, pride. Right? These are the root causes of all the evils. Right? So they would work on the root cause. Right? Allopathy right now will cure the symptom. Right? Modern day medicines will cure the symptom. Ayurveda works on the root of the disease. Right? Why do you have fever? What is the root of that disease? Somebody will test and understand and then prescribe you, what to be done, how to change your diet maybe or your lifestyle, etc., to cure that. So similarly, spiritual knowledge works on the root of all these problems, right? Why there is crime? Because of greed, envy, pride, all of these things. So human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. So not just in India or in one state, it actually is the responsibility of the leaders of all planets, right, to impart this lesson, to educate people through imparting education, culture, like practically doing it, and devotion. In other words, the executive heads of all the states are intended to spread spread the science of Krishna consciousness, and so that people may take advantage of this great science and pursue a successful path, utilizing the opportunity of human form of life. In this millennium, the sun god Vivasvān, the king of sun, uh, which is origin of all planets within the solar system. The Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Yachakshur eva savita sakala grahanam Raja samasta suramurti rashesh tejaha Yasyagnaya brahmati sambrita kala chakro Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Let me worship Lord Brahma, said the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who is the original person and under whose order the sun, which is the king of all planets, is assuming immense power and heat. The sun represents the eye of the Lord and traverses its orbit in obedience to his order. So sun is moving. Because of the sun, there are different seasons coming, etc. So the sun is moving its own orbit under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? The sun is king of all planets, of all of the planets, and the sun god at the present of the name Vivasvān rules the sun planet. So even the position of the king of sun planet is a position at present. Who's ruling the sun planet? His name is Vivasvān, which is controlling all other planets by supplying heat and light. He is rotating under the order of Krishna, and Lord Krishna originally made Vivasvān his first disciple to understand the science of Bhagavad Gita. The Gita is not, therefore, a speculative treatise for insignificant mundane scholar, but is a standard book of knowledge coming down from time immemorial. Right? Very important. So it was given to sun god millions of years ago, right? And it was relevant back then. It was relevant 5,000 years ago, and it is relevant today as well. Right? It's a timeless knowledge. Spirituality is timeless. Right? Then we are saying in the Mahabharata, we can trace our history of Gita as follows. I'll skip the shloka. In the beginning of the millennium, known as Treta Yuga, this science of relationship with Supreme was delivered to Vivasvān, by Vivasvān to Manu. So Krishna originally gave it to Vivasvān, sun god, and in Treta Yuga, Vivasvān gave it to Manu. Manu, being the father of mankind, gave it to his son Ikṣvāku, Maharaja Ikṣvāku, the king of this earth's planet and the forefather of the Raghu dynasty, in which Lord Ramchandra appeared. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita existed in human society from the time of Maharaj Ikṣvāku. At the present moment, we have just passed 5,000 years of Kali Yuga, which lasts 432,000 years. So, Kali Yuga span is 432,000 years, out of which only 5,000 years have passed. Before this, there was Dwapar Yuga, 800,000 years. So 8,64,000 years is the precise number. And before that, there was Treta Yuga, right? Approximately 12 lakh years. Thus, some 20 lakh 5,000 years ago, Manu spoke Bhagavad Gita to his disciple, the son Maharaj, to his disciple and son Maharaj Ikṣvāku, the king of this planet Earth. So approximately 2 million years ago, right? This science was given from Manu to Ikṣvāku. The age of the current Manu calculated to last, what is this? 305 million years, right? 305.3 million years, of which 120 million years have passed, 120,400,000 years have passed. Accepting that before the birth of the Manu, the Gita was spoken by the Lord to his disciple, the sun god Vivasvān. A rough estimate is that Gita about 120 million years ago. And in the human society, it has been existent for 2 million years. Oh, sorry, 1.2. Okay, my bad. It was re-spoken by Lord again to Arjuna about 5,000 years ago. That is a rough estimate of the history of Gita according to Gita itself. And according to the version of the speaker, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, it was spoken to sun god Vivasvān because he is also a Kshatriya and is the father of all the Kshatriyas who are descendants of sun god or the Surya Vamsha Kshatriyas. Because Bhagavad Gita is as good as the Vedas being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this knowledge is apaurushaya, superhuman, right? So Vedic knowledge cannot come from any human being because we have 4 defects. I think we've discussed this. So this knowledge is apaurushaya, superhuman. Since the Vedic instructions are accepted as they are, without human interpretation, Gita must therefore be accepted without mundane interpretation. The mundane wranglers may speculate on Gita in their own ways, but this is not Bhagavad Gita as it is. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita has to be accepted as it is from the disciplic succession, as it is described herein, that the Lord spoke to sun god, sun god spoke to Manu, Manu spoke to his son Ikṣvāku, right? So in that same parampara or line, the spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, imparting the knowledge to disciple, and in the same disciplic succession, we also receive this knowledge, unadulterated, without any mundane interpretations. Prabhuji, you want to add something, or anyone has any reflections on this or any questions?
No, Prabhuji.
I think anyone, any doubts? Too much to digest.
This thought is coming, Prabhuji, that very often these days people tend to take spirituality or spiritual knowledge as something that you can just garner from anywhere. Any Tom, Dick and Harry speaks about it and you tend to accept it.
Right.
As much as we would, for our own material education, ensure that we go to an institute which is recognized, which is authorized, and not just take education from anywhere. To that degree, even spiritual knowledge, it's not that we just see some Baba sitting on the street with some parrot and some cards. We go and take some instruction from him of what we should do in life. So spiritual knowledge, it has to come in this disciplic succession. Therefore, Krishna is emphasizing that since this was broken now, it's going to come in this verse, that it's going to be re-established now.
Yeah, and in the same chapter, he will also later, I think, 35th or 34th verse, right? So Krishna will explain how we should gain this knowledge in the, like right now we'll talk about the disciplic succession. He will also talk about how we approach a guru to, get this knowledge. So, Tadviti Pranipatana, that shloka is also coming up, I think 34th verse. So let's look at the second verse. Exactly what Prabhuji touched upon right now. So Krishna is saying again, describing how he imparted this knowledge originally and how it came down, and further what happened he is describing. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu kalena mata yogo nashta parantapa. So, can someone read the translation?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, one of you all please read.
This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplinic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost.
Right. So, Krishna is saying, this supreme science was thus received through chain of disciplic succession, and saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession is broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Now imagine, we just heard some of the calculations, right? 2 million years ago. So from then, the succession is going on, and about 5,000 years ago, a little, more than that, the chain was broken, which means that the chain was maintained for so many generations, literally, multiple yugas. It was maintained, right? The sanctity of that chain was maintained in terms of guru imparting that knowledge to his shishya or disciple, unadulterated, without any mixture of their own concocted theories, etc. They would be sincere disciples of their own spiritual masters, and they would be practically living what they're speaking, right? So multiple qualifications of a guru, we can discuss uh, how a guru should be, and therefore we can safely learn from them, and receive that knowledge unadulterated, or how this chain has been maintained unadulterated, we can understand, and we can probably touch upon some lives of some of the saintly personalities in past as well. So let's go to the purport, and then we'll discuss all this. So it is clearly stated that Gita was specially meant for saintly kings, because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. So they are the king is like the father. Like the father educates the child and engages the child in different things. So the king is also responsible to make sure the praja or the citizens are engaged spiritually, or they are making spiritual advancement. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita was never meant for demoniac persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit, and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. So people, demoniac people, what they do for their own fame, name, glory, they will write a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. They will put in their own thoughts. They will, misguide the innocent people through their commentaries and interpretations. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of unscrupulous commentators, though there arose the need to re-establish the disciplic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by Lord himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore he declared that the purpose of Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at present moment also, there are so many editions of Gita, especially in English, but almost all of them are not according to the authorized disciplic succession. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on words of Śrī Kṛṣṇa. This spirit is demoniac, because demons do not believe in God but simply enjoy the property of Supreme. Since there is a great need of an edition of Gita in English, as it is received by Parampara disciplic succession system, an attempt is made herewith to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity, but if it is accepted as treatise of philosophical speculation, it is simply a waste of time. Right? So all the Devdat Patnaiks of the world, giving all kinds of different talks on Mahabharata and Gita, or all different scholars talking. What all of that is simply a waste of time, right? If it's not, what is that? Parampara vihina mantra hi nishphalam. Even if you receive, the mantra, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra also, even if you receive, but not in parampara, mantra hi nishphala, right? Because it's not being given with an intent for you to go back to Godhead, or with an intent that you cultivate pure devotion. And of course, you won't receive it if it's not given with that intent. So, and therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur also sings that Harinama Mahamantra lo tumi magi, right? He sings, I'm forgetting the full bhajan. Sahi Hari Nama Mantra lo tumi magi. Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. Right? This is the song. So he's describing in the song how we should approach a bona fide spiritual master, beg for Harinam and receive Harinam. Right? Otherwise, Harinam is Hare Krishna Mahamantra stickers are available on the rickshaws also these days, right? One may think, why do I need to, go and ask someone for Harinam? It's already there, and I can simply read and chant, right? No, you have to receive it from a devotee. Just like Bhagavad Gita, we hear from a devotee. Then we understand the purport of Bhagavad Gita, right? Because when we're discussing Bhagavad Gita, it's not, it's just not transfer of some words here and there. It's actually a transfer of consciousness. Or Srimad Bhagavatam also, when we hear, it's a transfer of consciousness that takes place between the people who are assembled, right? So therefore, it is recommended, and in the beginning of Bhagavatam also, the qualification of the speaker and the qualification of the hearer both are described. Right? When the speaker is like Sukdev Goswami, of course that's a very high standard. Speaker is like Sukdev Goswami, and if the listener is like Parikshit Maharaj, just that 7 days, 7 nights is good enough for you to go back to Godhead, right? So therefore, there is so much stress given that we should hear in parampara, hear from bona fide acharyas, hear from devotees who carry Krishna in their heart, not from people on television doing Bhagavad Saptas, taking lakhs of rupees. So from the sponsors, right? 10 lakh doge to Bhagavatam katha dunga 7 din ka. Or aisa ras bharunga, I'll talk about, the Ras Leela pastimes. That's the mood of these people, money, right? Money and entertainment. That is the mood, right? So you will also become like that. You won't develop a mood to serve the Lord. You will develop a mood to enjoy, right? And greed, more and more money, if you hear these people. So, and when you hear them, it'll sound so amazing, right? People will be sitting in the assembly crying also, right? Fantastic orators, right? But no love for Lord. So what will happen? So one should seek out those people who are carrying Krishna in their heart, who have love for the Lord, and associate with them, hear from them, right? And till such time, you cannot find such a person, at least thoda bahut jo toota phoota hai usse bhi kaam chala lo, right? We can at least get connected somewhere so that we continue hearing Bhagavad Gita, at least not in some place which is not for some other ulterior motive, but at least for purpose of genuinely understanding Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So at least till such time you find a pure devotee, please get connected there. So yeah. So therefore, Prabhupada is describing how we should receive Bhagavad Gita in parampara, and Krishna is also we were discussing how this science was carried in disciplic succession for almost 2 million years. How is that possible? The famous example, Chinese whisper, people play that game. You pass one thing in the ear, and by the time it reaches some other end, it's completely different. So don't you think it would have played its role here as well? Or and Krishna is describing it was unbroken chain for about 2 million years. So how is that possible? This is a question people will ask you also.
Prabhuji, can you repeat the question again?
The question is, Krishna is saying that in the previous shloka we understood that how this knowledge was given to Vivasvān, from Vivasvān to Manu to Ikṣvāku, and that the entire chain of disciplic succession, where the guru is imparting knowledge to Shishya, and the qualified Shishya, when he becomes guru, he is imparting knowledge to his disciples, and like that the chain was continuing. How can it continue for 2 million years?
Prabhuji, because of the yuga which makes a difference, the yug makes a difference. Like Kali is the most corrupted one, and maybe because when Kali started to approach, the thing started to change because it started showing its effect. So
this was Dwapar Yuga when Krishna is detecting, in Dwapar Yuga itself, he is detecting the chain is broken. Kali to ball game. In Dwapar itself, he is saying, he's detected the chain is broken and therefore he's come again to give it. How do you, how is it possible for the same knowledge, unadulterated, right? Chinese whisper, the game, right? Everyone knows the game?
yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So, don't you think it would have played its role somewhere? 2 million years, how is it possible?
It's all God's grace, Prabhuji.
God's grace. Okay, yes. For sure. Any other thoughts? How has it been maintained for 2 million years? And what is the hope for us that it will still be maintained? Okay, forget the previous 2 million years. Krishna has again given this knowledge. How do you think we are getting this unadulterated knowledge? From what source? How can we rely on that source? These are doubts which should not haunt you later. It should be clarified now.
It is written down
It
and
is
carried
written down.
forward.
Okay. Yes, Vyasdev wrote it for the benefit of everyone. Yes.
And the learned men passed it on.
But then we hear Prabhupada describing how there are so many editions of Bhagavad Gita where people have given mundane interpretations. And we just discussed, just some scholar trying to give some interpretation or translation. What happens?
We should check we should not just follow just like that blindly. We should check the succession, the pre-succession, from where it is coming, who has written that, who's that person.
Yes. So
Connection.
the question is, what is the hope for us to think that, oh, there is a bona fide succession available? How do you think, even from last 5,000 years, the sanctity of the scripture, at least with some people, have been maintained? How is it maintained? What is the qualification for people to maintain that, to carry it forward without any adulteration?
Parampara.
Devotion.
Okay. So, in essence, what we're discussing is
Discipline system.
Yes, what is the qualification of guru? Ultimately, what we are discussing right now, or where I'm trying to get at, is what is the qualification of a guru? Who is that personality whom we can rely on to pass on unadulterated information?
He should be from the parampara. He should be one of the succession from one of the disciples.
Okay. Anything else?
From which sampradaya he is coming?
Okay, from which sampradaya is he coming? Okay.
There are 4 sampradayas.
Yes. So, okay, myself, I am initiated in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Partha Priya Prabhu is also initiated in the same Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Are we gurus? Not really, right? We are not initiating gurus. We are not, although we are trying to just repeat the words of Srila Prabhupada, so in that way we are trying to pass on the same knowledge. But, say for example, if tomorrow there are thousands of followers suddenly, and, everyone is trying to, worship us or give us some gifts or, make a nice temple for us, right? Hypothetical situation. our minds will be completely twisted. Instead of being renounced and giving unadulterated knowledge, we'll start giving knowledge which will be somehow the other benefiting us, right? Mera worship badna chahiye, or people should give more expensive gifts to me, let me say this, right? So that more money comes in. We can always do that, right? What is the hope for you to receive unadulterated knowledge? What is the
I
qualification?
think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Mataji.
I think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's why he has given the simple mantra, Maha Mantra, so that everybody understands and proceeds ahead.
Okay. Parthapriya Prabhu, you want to throw some light on qualification of Guru? Yes, Mataji, you're right. Parthapriya Prabhu?
Sorry, about this question of what is the hope for them?
Or qualification of a Guru. How we should identify who's a real Guru. And knowing the qualities of a real Guru, we can understand there is hope. Or we can be confident that what knowledge we are receiving is unadulterated. So what is that qualification of Guru, that we can be sure that we are receiving unadulterated knowledge?
Babaji, one is if, can I attempt here?
Yes, please. Yes.
I think one is the Guru must have full faith in the own Shastras, what he's talking.
Perfect, yes.
He himself must have complete faith. And then, of course, what he is understanding and how he is able to explain it. Really.
Perfect, yes.
And he himself probably would have realized what is the nature of Krishna consciousness.
Okay, how do we understand that?
By continued reading of the scriptures.
Okay.
There is always that, what do you say? The desire, there's a desire to keep learning.
Sure, okay. Prabhuji, you want to add?
Priyanka Mataji is saying something, one who has dedicated his life for preaching.
Okay.
Just to add to Sujata Mataji said, so she mentioned the desire for knowledge. Actually, there are many people in this world who have a very strong desire for knowledge, and they're very inquisitive, and they're just hungry for knowledge. That in itself may not be enough unless that's a knowledge that's practiced and applied in life. So one of the qualifications, or one of the things that qualifies someone to be Guru, like it's given in the NOI, Nectar of Instruction, is that he has complete control over the 6 urges: Vacha Vegam, Manasa, Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udarapastha Vegam. So there are 6 urges in the body. It starts from Vacha Vegam. Vacha means speech. Then Manasa means mind. Krodha means anger. Jiva means tongue. Udarapastha, so the tongue, the belly, and the genitals. So someone who is actually having control over these is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So like Guruji was mentioning that how if someone starts worshipping us, and we might just run behind fame and recognition and so many things. But if the senses are controlled, the mind is controlled, then our desire will not be for these things. Rather be for glorification of the Supreme Lord, not our own glorification. This is one of the things that is there. The other, there are a few other things, like so the Guru has to be follower of his Guru also, following the instructions of his Guru. So all of you, I think, already mentioned that he has to be in a chain himself. Prabhupada once said that no one can become a self-made Guru. No one can just come out of anywhere and say that I'm a Guru, you can follow me. He needs to belong to a chain and following the instructions as given in that chain. At the same time, we can always verify what the Guru is saying with the check and balance
The
system.
scriptures.
Yeah, the scriptures and the sadhu. So Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. There's a check and balance system always. So what the Guru is saying, is it matching what the scriptures say? Is it matching what the acharyas say? If there is some mismatch, we can always confirm from some senior authorities, senior devotees.
Yeah. So any examples, Prabhuji, you want to cite?
As in, Prabhuji?
So, all right. So there are, and our scriptures, they describe the qualities of, sadhu. There are some 26 qualities mentioned in Bhagavad Gita itself and in other scriptures as well. There are symptoms mentioned. Of course, Prabhuji mentioned Vacha Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam. Controlling these 6 urges, one can make disciples all over the world. So we see from the lives of these different acharyas in our past. Of course, somebody mentioned, scriptures are written. So that's also a very, very important point. So how you can check, whether this current acharya or guru is in line with the previous acharyas. Because the previous acharyas are also left certain writings, right? One can always check what the guru is speaking, whether the scriptures are saying the same. Other sadhus are also, who are bona fide, are also saying the same. Like that, one can check. There are other symptoms of pure devotees also. One of the external symptoms, which the sadhus or guru, he would also conceal his bhajan. Conceal his bhajan means he won't express that he's feeling love for God, or he's crying or trembling, all the symptoms, etc. He won't make a show of it, because he's not like a cheater on the street who wants to just make show for cheap adoration. So he won't make a show of it, or he'll try to conceal his emotions like that. But there are some other symptoms which we can understand, right? One of such symptoms is avyartha kalam, right? A pure devotee of the Lord doesn't waste even a moment. He wants to engage all his time and energy in the service of the Lord, right? And in fact, if you want to check how much you're advancing in spirituality, you should understand or check how much time am I spending for the Lord, right?
Oh,
Yes, somebody saying something?
no, Prabhuji. I was just thinking, is there a benchmark for that?
There is a very high benchmark for that. So, Srila Rupa Goswami, or even all the 6 Goswamis, or even Haridas Thakur, they would literally be chanting 22 hours a day and then sleep only 2 hours a day. Only 2 hours. Rest all their time. And even that sleep, they would be dreaming about the Lord. So practically 24/7, they are, constantly thinking of the Lord. So that is the...
No, Prabhuji, benchmarks for Kali Yuga people.
So benchmark for Kali Yuga. Again, I'm this is Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. They were there in Kali Yuga only. Srila Prabhupada was there in Kali Yuga. So at the end of the day, when devotees heard this in a class from Srila Prabhupada, that you have to be 100% Krishna conscious, right? They were scared. Like, Prabhupada, how is this possible? So, and then Prabhupada continued speaking, but then he saw, the blank faces or the scared faces filled with anxiety. So Prabhupada said, okay, it's not 100%, 90%. And then he continued, and then he saw those blank faces. And he said, okay, even if you do 80%, Krishna will consider. So again, people were blank. So Prabhupada said, okay, I have the back doors to the spiritual world. You just do 70% and I'll take you back to God. Like that. So as such, I mean, for us, we are not even there 1%. So 70% is again a big thing for us. But at the same time, we should understand that if we are willing to put effort, whatever we can right now, given your situation, right? If, for example, you can analyze that, okay, this is the time I have apart from all my other duties which are unavoidable. This is the time I have. Can I give 50% of that to Krishna? Can I give maybe 60% of that to Krishna? Right? The more you utilize the available time, Krishna will expand that available time for you. Right? He'll think, oh, okay, she wants to give me more time. let me expand that available time for them. So if it means you have half an hour in a day, where you can actually practice, or you have that free time and you can utilize that for Krishna and utilize that full half an hour, Krishna will expand that to 1 hour, and then again you utilize that one full hour, Krishna will expand that even more. So he is waiting, for you to take those steps. Once you take a step, Krishna will arrange more. He will give you more facility to have more time for him. Time is actually Krishna himself, right? Krishna says, time I am, right? So if you invest time, in Krishna, Krishna can expand, right? Very easily. Is that okay, Madhji?
Yeah, Prabhuji, it makes so much sense.
So, yeah. And of course, at least Śrīla Prabhupada has given us so much concession, right? He says, chant 16 rounds. You cannot chant 24 hours, fine. Chant 16 rounds, 2 hours a day. Chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Follow 4 regulative principles. Engage yourself in practical service. And I guarantee you'll return back to Bhagavad. And since Śrīla Prabhupada, who's an Acharya, he said this, Krishna has to fulfill. Right? Krishna is bound to fulfill this. Otherwise, the qualification as such, we can never be qualified. It's by mercy of the Lord that we are allowed entry. But then Krishna wants to see that effort. So even to get to that level of doing genuine effort, it's a lot. But Prabhupada has very mercifully, reduced that, given us concession because we are Kali Yuga Jivas. He's given us concession, and because Prabhupada has said, Krishna will allow us. There's a backdoor entry into the spiritual world. Otherwise, before Prabhupada, it was 64 rounds was the standard. 64 rounds means 8 hours a day. So yeah, 2 hours is a struggle. How would we do 8 hours? So we can see from lives of these acharyas, coming back to the same question. I'm sorry, I'm taking some more time today, but we can see from their lives how they were 100% engaged in serving the Lord, right? Srila Prabhupada, he would also practically sleep 2 hours a day. Entire day, he would be traveling. He would be, giving classes to, different temples and centers that he had opened. He would meet with devotees, meet with other dignitaries, preach to them, right? Answer letters. At night, he would continue writing Srimad Bhagavatam at night, right? Sleep 2 hours in between and then again get up and continue writing Bhagavatam throughout the night. In the morning, again, go through the same temple program of Mangalarti, Darshanarti, Guru Puja, right? Bhagavatam class, all of that. So that was his routine. And his life was completely public. There was no personal life. It was in front of everyone, right? And devotees saw how not even a minute he wasted, and he was constantly thinking of the Lord and serving the Lord, right? Almost 100% engaged in Krishna's service, right? And utilizing everything in service of Krishna. Not that he would keep Ariye Merle, right? But everything that he would have, he possessed, or he would get, he would very expertly engage that in service of the Lord. Right? So a guru is, we read, I think, few verses or few chapters before. His duty is how to engage the disciple in serving Krishna. Right? So he very expertly arranges so that you serve Krishna in a nice way. He gives you instructions, asks you to go through scriptures so that you understand how to serve the Lord. Right? And he himself is someone who's gone through the process, served his spiritual master very, very diligently, made his instruction of his spiritual master his life and soul. And therefore, we can very safely, completely rely on the spiritual master, right? When we come to the Sloka Tadvidi Pranipatena, it is almost that we are surrendering to the spiritual master. One has to surrender to Krishna, right? We are here in the material world because we've been disobedient, right? Because we did not want to, serve the Lord, but we wanted to be enjoyers. So we were disobedient, therefore we came here. So Krishna sends his representative spiritual master, a person who's filled with love of Krishna and who's an intimate associate of the Lord. And Krishna, he has his dealings with us through the via media, transparent via media of the spiritual master. So once you surrender to the spiritual master, right, and to have that surrender, one should very intelligently, apply all your intelligence to choose the spiritual master, right? Tad vidhi pranipatina, ask relevant questions, serve him. And through that, the self-realized soul will be able to impart knowledge in our heart, right? Through our ears to our heart. Right? And once that happens, surrender yourself, because that means you're surrendering to Krishna. You're obeying instructions of Guru is obeying instructions of Krishna. Because of the disobedience, we have fallen. Once you start obeying the instructions of Krishna through the medium of Guru, right? That is when you'll be reinstated in your original position. Right? And how Srila Prabhupada has exemplified through his life is taken that instruction of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, who instructed him to go to preach in the West with no means, no support, right? In an old age of 70 years, taking a boat journey with 2 heart attacks on the way, he did not give up. Completely focused. He could have sat in Vrindavan, did his bhajan, right? And still gone back home, back to God. But he made his Guru's instruction his life and soul. And we see the result. When Krishna starts giving the results, and Yagya Mataji was reading Prabhupada Leelamrit, and the beginning first book is all about his struggle, and we see so much struggle, unimaginable struggle. We cannot even survive 1% of that. Forget 1%, 0.1% we cannot survive. That much struggle he went through. And then rest of the entire Leelamrit is how Krishna is reciprocating by giving him so many facilities, so many disciples. And you see how literally coming to the second and third book, I used to feel goosebumps, like, yes, I would have that feeling, yes, now, Srila Prabhupada is having this facility, now he's preaching, now he's having disciples. You will almost have that feeling when you read Prabhupada Leelamrit. So you see how Krishna reciprocates then so wonderfully. I think I related this story. I'll end with that. So, and when I was reading it moved me so much that how, there was this, Prabhupada was first time going to Paris. And the Indian ambassador to Paris was also flying the same day. Devotees were at the airport waiting for Srila Prabhupada with garlands in hand, doing very wonderful kirtan at the airport. Those days, the security was less and devotees were allowed to do nice kirtan at the airport. And the dignitaries from the governor's office in Paris, they were also waiting for the ambassador from India to arrive. And this lady who was supposed to arrange things, she had forgotten to arrange any welcome for the Indian ambassador, and she was at the airport and she was freaking out. How do I welcome nicely this ambassador? So she approached, she saw the devotees, with nice garlands, kartal and mridang and chanting. So she approached and she requested, can you all please also welcome, the Indian ambassador? Because, we've forgotten to arrange anything. So some of the devotees agreed, so fine, no problem. And they took some of the garlands which they had, when the Indian ambassador arrived, they, welcomed him by, a namaste. They chanted some shlokas, they garlanded him. And the Indian ambassador felt very, very nice. He felt very welcomed. And this lady was very appreciative of the devotees. And she said, is there anything I can do for you all? So Prabhupada was about to arrive. And the devotee said, our Guru is also about to arrive. And if, he's coming for the first time, he's stepping for the first time in the land of Paris, if you can arrange, a nice welcome for him or, appreciate his arrival. So she arranged for Prabhupada to come to the governor's house and be honored there by the governor and all the members of the house. So when I was reading that, I realized how Krishna is reciprocating. Prabhupada had struggled so much And now, when Krishna is giving him success, what level of success, right? Even before Prabhupada arrives, the first thing he lands on the airport, he gives an interview straight to the governor's house. And there he's nicely sitting. Nobody in the history of that house had sat and heard the speech of the governor. Prabhupada, completely oblivious to, the material situation. The true Acharya is sitting there and hearing. And then his turn to speak, and Prabhupada speaks. And he says how the authority is the same, what we heard, how the kings, their duty is to, ensure that the citizens are educated. They're given the culture and devotion to serve the Lord. Prabhupada spoke on that, right? Without even considering, that, okay, they've just honored me, but he's there to speak the truth, no matter, who's there. So he spoke the truth, and he advised that, you should focus on not just, uplifting the society in all different ways, because that's just going to hell, right? No matter what you do, but uplifting the society spiritually. Right? I gave that heavy speech, right? So it just dawned upon me that how Krishna is reciprocating, and things are literally arranged for Srila Prabhupada. And just by Prabhupada wanting to go somewhere, there are devotees already there. Maybe one devotee, suddenly, it's like a wildfire. That one devotee creates 10 devotees or 20 devotees, and then they get together. Literally, this happened in Los Angeles. Literally, got a place overnight. Hand painted the signage of Hare, and a temple was created. A small temple was created in a matter of 2 days of Srila Prabhupada's arrival, filled with 20 to 40 devotees. One devotee had gone there a week back. One or two devotees, I think Malti Mataji and Shamsuna had gone there in 2 weeks' time. Almost like a week's time. Two devotees created a temple, small temple with 20 to 40 devotees in there already waiting for welcoming Srila Prabhupada. It's unimaginable. Devotees were once, I think, before that in LA also, they were struggling to maintain, the temple. They never had money. They needed $29 to pay the rent, and they had stretched, as much as possible to pay the rent. Not, talk to the owner and stretched as much as possible. So one morning, Mangalarti time, they were thinking, today we have to, leave the place. How will we manage this? And then suddenly they thought, okay, let us just chant and see whatever Krishna arranges. Fine, we have to move out. But they were just feeling sad that Prabhupada wanted us to create this temple, and that time the temple was very small, a small apartment they had rented. So they were singing Mangal Arati very, very nicely, doing Kirtan, Hare Krishna Kirtan, and literally from the window, $29 come flying in, exactly $29. Some drunkard had just thrown $29 in the room. That's it, right? So it's unimaginable how, when a pure devotee is there, things are arranged, and Krishna reciprocates. So when we see that, and again, this is life of Srila Prabhupada, there are so many previous acharyas. We see what the lives of these acharyas are. There won't be, 0.1% doubt that, we are getting adulterated knowledge. They have lived Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam personally through their lives. Right? So there is Vyakti Bhagavat and there is Book Bhagavat. So we receive Bhagavat or Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita through devotee Bhagavat, right? And one has to use all their intelligence to identify who's that devotee Bhagavat, whom you can surrender your life completely. Be sure that following their instruction, making their instruction your life and soul, you're sure to go back to God. All right, I'll stop here. I'm sorry for taking more time. Prabhuji, you want to add anything or any questions or reflections?
No.
Any thoughts, anyone?
Yeah, I want to ask one thing. Where to read the pastimes of the Lord? Any specific book is there where only such illustrations or examples are quoted? In short, you can recommend.
Krishna Prabhupada's Krishna book to to be able to read the pastimes of the Lord. There is Srimad Bhagavatam. I think there is on a daily basis reading is also going on by so many members from here as well, and Harshita also contributing there. So yeah, you can join that almost every evening. We are doing that. Plus, this is the month of Kartik, like we heard last time, Hari Parshad Prabhu, this is the Urja Vrata, right? This is the month where you increase your devotion, increase your service to the Lord as much as possible. Any act done in this month is multiplied 1,000 folds. You chant one round, it's equivalent to 1,000 rounds. Not that you say, oh, I've done my 16 because I've done 1,000, one round. But you do as much devotional service as possible because the benefit is 1,000-fold. Right? So yeah, I think take advantage of these opportunities or classes which are already going on. You can read the Krishna book yourself. You can read Bhagavatam yourself. You can hear Srila Prabhupada lectures. There are lectures by so many other devotees on the YouTube, especially for the month of Kartik. We are offering Deep Dan in the evening and the morning. So morning 7:30, evening 7:30, there is Deep Dan which happens, and we sing Damodar Ashtakam. Maybe one of the classes we can even touch upon the meaning of Damodar Ashtakam. Yeah, so just by simply offering a lamp in this month, right? Krishna is ready to become yours. Right? Such an offer. Imagine. Simply by offering a lamp with devotion, singing Damodar Ashtakam, Krishna is purchased. One has to struggle or do so much austerity, still, one cannot achieve Krishna. In this month actually, why is it special? This month of Kartik. Kartik comes from the word Kritika. Kritika is another name of Srimati Radharani because she is the daughter of Kirtida. Right? So Kartik Mas is a month of Srimati Radharani. Vrindavan is the place of Srimati Radharani. She's the queen of Vrindavan. So this combination is very, very amazing. If you spend some time, even a night in Vrindavan in Kartik, unimaginable benefit. If you do little devotional service. So in Kartik, in Vrindavan, even if you sleep on the ground, the Lord accepts that sleeping as offering obeisances. Right? Even if you don't actively do devotional service, right? Krishna assumes that you're doing devotional service. Right? There's a story. There was this rat who was eating ghee from the lamp. It was a month of Kartik, and he was eating and suddenly because of the wind, the flame again lit up, and this rat, his mouth caught fire, and because of that he was jumping up and down, could not tolerate the heat, and he was jumping up and down in front of the Lord. He was eating ghee in the temple in front of the Lord, the month of Kartik, and the Lord took that as arati, deepdan, and took the rat back to God. Right? So it's almost hilarious or unimaginable. What benefit this month holds for us, and if we seriously, sincerely, consciously do bhajan or serve the Lord in this month, Krishna is purchased. He won't leave you ever. Okay, any other thoughts or reflections? So I hope everyone is doing Damodar Aarti in their house, or at least going to temple.
Yes, Prabhuji. I'm doing morning, evening, both at home.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So I think tomorrow Sunday, actually tomorrow will be very crowded also. So Parthapriya Prabhu, should we keep it tomorrow or Monday evening? What do you suggest?
Tomorrow Sunday morning we may be free.
Okay.
In fact, today also.
Yeah. So you should definitely experience Damodar Ashtakam being sung in the temple. Such a nice atmosphere. They switch off all the lights, and there are so many devotees, wonderfully singing Damodar Ashtakam together. I think that experience you should have. So we were thinking and hoping if people can come today evening or tomorrow evening, whatever is comfortable. We can decide one time, and otherwise also even without us, you can obviously walk into the temple anytime during this month in the evening and experience. 7:30 is a time where Damodar Ashtakam is sung. But I think if we plan nicely, we can probably meet up as well, have darshan of the Lord either today or tomorrow, whatever is more suitable, and do Damodar Ashtakam, and maybe we can figure out some prasadam as well for you all in the temple. So anyone who's interested, or I would really strongly recommend for everyone to join. So whoever wants to come, I think the WhatsApp group is open. You all can put it there, or you can even mention it here.
Prabhuji, it's on Wednesday also, right? Any of the
Juhu temple.
Okay, one by one. So Suma Mataji, yes, it's in Juhu temple.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Sujata Mataji, you were saying something?
It's in the weekday also, right?
Every day. Yes.
7:30 to?
It lasts for half an hour, 7:30.
Okay. So any weekday also?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do 7:30 in the morning also, 7:30 in the evening also. Whatever is more suitable for you, you can. Yes, how about Priyanka Mataji saying she'll try? Okay. Everyone, please try.
I think
Can
I'll
do
make
it on weekdays. Yeah, weekdays.
Morning weekday, I can do it. Maybe 7:30.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone is good for morning weekday. Maybe a Monday 7:30.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All can come together.
Yeah, Monday morning 7:30 is good.
Yes.
How about others? Kavita Mataji, Priya Rani Mataji, Rinku Mataji.
Yeah. We can try Prabhuji for 7:30 weekday.
7:30 is too
Even
early.
I will try.
Morning or evening?
I will try tomorrow evening.
Okay. All right. So I think Monday morning, Parthapriya Prabhu sounds good. We are anyways going to be there today and tomorrow evening as well. So evening, definitely, I think we can catch up in any case. But Monday morning, we can try to come together as well.
Okay, Prabhu, Monday morning.
Parthapriya Prabhuji?
I have early work. Tomorrow morning, I'll be there in case.
Can we do tomorrow morning instead of Monday?
Sunday morning is good time. I don't know. I mean, of course, if it suits everyone, Monday morning, that is completely fine.
Yeah, if we miss out Sadhu Sang, then what is the point? So Prabhuji is there on tomorrow morning. So is it okay tomorrow morning for everyone instead of Monday?
I can try Prabhuji for tomorrow.
Or
But
on
Monday for sure.
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Monday, like
I think,
maybe
Monday
we
is
can
like
also
sure,
go on
sure.
our own. If Prabhuji is busy, maybe we do. I'm okay to do Monday. Tomorrow is a little difficult.
Okay. All right. So,
Monday evening, is that possible? So we can-
Monday evening is also a good option. Yes.
I am comfortable in Monday evening also.
Okay, now we're shifting from morning to evening.
We can
So
go
we
on
can
our
have,
own also, no?
yeah. So I don't think we all will be able to match one time.
Yes, yes.
So
We
can
can
just,
very difficult, I think. Yeah.
We can just put a message whenever we are going in the group.
Yeah, I want to make.
We can go in
clear-
pairs also if somebody is going, like, and then one of us
yeah,
can go,
few
so that
of
at least we can,
few can
if
go.
not in a big group, yeah.
Yes, Narayani Mataji, you were saying something?
Yeah, I want to make clear this offering of lamp. You said
Yes.
exactly what we have to buy a lamp and offer it in the temple.
No, you don't have to buy. Devotees already arrange a lamp for you to offer. You just have to go there, take the lamp, wash your hands, take the lamp, and offer it. As an arti to the Lord. That's it. And sing Damodar Ashtakam.
Prabhuji, can you post, I'm sorry to trouble you, can you post Damodar Ashtakam on the group?
Yes, you can.